Oh, here's the game. Def. D4. Well, let's play D5, I guess. Haven't played a Slav in a while. Okay, he prevents the win-hour gambit. That's the normal move there, knight f3. Knight c3 allows the win-hour gambit. Here we're going for the Moran variation, it looks like. No, he goes for the pin. Let's see if he wants to give up the bishop here. Sometimes they just take there. Okay, so he's going to leave it like that. Let's see, is this one of those lines where I can take the pawn over here? Well, he hasn't committed this bishop, so he can push the e-pawn forward and then take it back, I guess. I mean, maybe I have time to defend it with b5, but that's not not the kind of thing I like to play. Create all these weaknesses over here in exchange for a pawn. So let's just keep developing and see where he puts his pieces. Yep, so now he's prepared to take back on c4 with a single move. Okay, he moved his bishop, so let's go ahead and take. Like the Moran variation, gain a tempo on the bishop. And then try to get an early c5 in. So that's the point of a6 here, is to defend the b-pawn so that you can play c5 without dropping the b-pawn. And he's going to let me do it. I'm going to go ahead and play c5 now. I haven't castled yet. So there may be some risk in that, but I don't see it. And this bishop has a nice diagonal on b7 here. Yeah, and I've got, let's see, if he wants to trade queens, I want to be able to take back with the rook, bring the rook to the center file. So I think black should already be equal in this opening. I think this has been successful. Let's see, I'm going to castle now, and he's going to bring a rook to the d file, and I'm going to have to move my queen aside. Question is where to put it. If I go to c7, then he's got bishop to g3 right away. If I go to b6, can he do anything to annoy my queen there? Of course, what is the queen doing on b6? a5. Well, what the queen does on b6, I guess, is it supports a rook coming to d8. So I can challenge his rook on the d file. And it stays out of the way of his bishop. So I'm going to play it. This knight is controlling, and this knight, both knights are controlling the d7 square where his rook might penetrate. That's a potential problem. That's the other thing the queen does over here, is it defends these minor pieces, so I don't have loose pieces hanging around. This bishop is loose, the bishop on e7. That's why rook d7 might be a concern. He can chase one of my knights away with b4, and he can chase the other knight away or trade it off by taking, but then the bishop goes to f6. That's probably a good diagonal for the bishop. This knight could go to e4 also. When he plays b4, I could play knight to e4. That might be... Can I? Knight to e4, knight takes, bishop... I can't, yeah. He's got the knight and the bishop on the e4 square. Well, I have this knight here, but he could trade this knight off. I could take back. Maybe I can. Okay. Let's see. Maybe, well, I probably want to play rook d8, but I want to calculate this first. So knight to e4. If he takes this knight, then I'll take back. So he takes this knight. I take back with the bishop. Then he takes this knight. And I have to take back, and then my bishop is hanging at the end. Yeah, so that loses a piece. So let's go like I wanted to. Rook to d. Rook to d8 and contest the open d file. Now the other rook goes to the c file and maybe looks at his pieces on the c file. Maybe I should play knight to d5 and trade off the bishop. If I play knight d5, he could retreat his bishop. He could take my knight, hitting my queen. It doesn't work. Knight d5, he takes my knight, hitting the queen, and if I take his knight, he takes my bishop because it's now undefended. Tricky, tricky. Okay, and yeah, knight e4 is still not happening. Maybe I should push on with b4 myself. Pawn to b4, pawn takes, queen takes. I'm not sure if his knights are really threatening much. It's mostly about pawn to b4 is mostly about securing this this c5 square for my knight. See, after queen takes, he can get a tempo against the queen with this knight or with this knight. But none of those seem especially effective. I'm looking at his b-pawn, but I'm not threatening to take it because of the bishop check winning the queen. Okay, good to note those little tactics. So probably rook to c8 next. And what is White's plan in this position? He's taking his time thinking about it. It's good. He should, as well he should. Maybe this knight really needs to go back somewhere. It could come around this way. Knight to d7 to f8 to g6 and chase the bishop away from that pin. And then that bishop would go to g3. Okay, so he's getting something off of the... oh, he's just defending. He is just defending the b-pawn with this queen, I guess, which he didn't really need to do, because it was defended by the tactic bishop h7 check. That is a problem, I guess. Knight to g6, he can just take it with his bishop, leaving me with this pawn here. So he finally goes there anyway. So, yeah, knight g6 is not an idea. Maybe pawn to e5 is an idea here. Kind of harasses his knight a little bit. Where's the knight going after that? Here is covered. Here is covered. It could go to f5. That's a problem. e5, knight f5 is no good. Okay, now I could play knight to d5 and bishop to f6. If he trades, I can take with the bishop. I guess this is okay. He can try putting his queen on this diagonal and threatening mate down here. I think I have time to defend, maybe bring the other knight to f6. Okay, so I'm still covering these squares so his knight can't go anywhere. Actually, he could play knight f5 now, can't he? Because after knight f5, if I take the knight, he takes my bishop. So knight f5, maybe I just play knight f6 and let him trade his knight for my dark squared bishop. Okay, so he goes for the mate threat, so let's defend that. Well, let's think. After I play knight f6, he will probably play bishop to e5, threatening to trade knights and then mate me. Trade off my knight and then mate me. And then I could play g6. So maybe I should just play g6 right now rather than allowing the knight, or allowing his bishop to e5 first. Here's an idea for white. He could play e4 to kick my bishop away. If the bishop drops back, then he could sacrifice the knight on e6, and if I take it, then he can play queen takes g6 check. And am I mated? If I go to the corner, I get mated, so I have to go to f8. Then what's the follow-up? Maybe I'm not mated there. Well, he has queen takes h6 check. He gets 3 pawns for the piece. And a dangerous looking attack. It's probably good for white. What does that mean? What that means is that I have to keep my bishop on this diagonal. Yeah, well, that's interesting. I was about to play bishop to c4, and he just moved his rook away from f1. So I wonder if I had bishop c4 earlier in the game. Okay, let's trade off the queens, or get it off that diagonal. There's too much annoying stuff going on here. You know what he can do? I keep finding these things a moment too late. He can trade queens and play bishop to c7. He didn't want to do that. Okay, well, I feel much better not getting mated here. I guess, bishop c7, what I was thinking was that he had pulled my bishop away from this file, and he pushes my rook away from defense of the knight, and then I have a nice loose knight here, which he could exploit. But could he really? Anyway, let's get my knight to a good square. I'm guessing knight f6 is a logical place for that knight. And okay, so he's going to bring his pawns forward. Now I could think about e5. He just takes it. I cannot think about e5. What can I play here? Play bishop c5. Okay, my knight is loose, and there's a potential pin along this diagonal, but I can block it with g5, or if he plays the bishop here, I can just move the knight somewhere. Maybe h7 to g5. Yeah, he went there. Well, it defends his knight, so I guess it makes sense. Maybe I'll just momentarily go back to nah, I don't like going back to I don't like going back to the d file, creating that pin again. So if he kicks my knight, I can go back to g7. And yeah, I can try and exploit some of these weaknesses here. Maybe knight g7 to f5 rather. Knight g7, f5, threatening knight takes e3, undermining the knight. Yeah, the knight's protected well enough, it seems. If he plays e5 here, I drop my bishop back. I mean, if he plays e4, I drop my bishop back, and I'm okay. And also, that pin on this file seems like it might be annoying. Just, I don't mind dropping back here. Okay, he moved his pawn away from my bishop. I guess that was his idea. Let's trade off one of those rooks, if he allows it. he doubles. So maybe he likes the C file. I guess that's the point. Let's trade off one of those rooks like I was saying. So his back rank is now weak. So's mine, though. I have to be careful. There's a mate threat with the bishop there. Okay, let's bring this knight into the game. My bishops are nicely controlling that c-file from here to here. So he can't penetrate with the rook, but I have to be careful a little bit with how I place those guys. Let's see, if I go knight f5 and he trades... Oh, he's just going after my pawn. Yeah, I kind of want to ignore that, but I'm not sure if it's correct to do so. Knight f5, say knight takes, pawn takes, bishop takes pawn. I can't take that pawn. I can't take that pawn. It's defended by the rook. So I guess I need to defend that. Now the other problem with knight f5 is he has pawn to e4, forking the knight and the bishop. That's unfortunate. So what can I do? Maybe start by dropping the bishop back. Now I can play knight f5. And then I can start to bring my king into the game. Yeah, we're getting towards an endgame phase. It seems like white has no particular advantage here. Yeah, maybe I gave him an advantage with this trade. But I was thinking he would have a weak pawn there on e3. We'll see. I can play rook to c8 and we'll just get into a bishop's endgame. If he takes. My bishop is defending the a pawn there, so that seems adequate. Yeah, so he goes for this right away. Let's take. He undoubled my pawns, but it liberates his pawns, so it frees his structure up. Frees up his position. And his king can come forward. Okay, maybe he's going to try and make progress. Let's see, what's going to happen if I step to f8? There's a check. I will go to e8. f8, check, king e8. There is no check there. If he doesn't check me, I want to step forward to e7 and then to... just need to get my king in the center here, where he's got this advanced pawn, and maybe try and get some pressure on that pawn. And so right here, maybe this is a good time to trade rooks. Let's bring the king one step further. One step closer. Okay, the bishop went back. Well, it's hitting my pawn. I guess I have to... I guess I should move it forward. I could move the g-pawn forward. Kick that bishop. Hard to say. Which bishop is better? So, this pawn is pinned. Maybe I can exploit the pin now. Pawn to f4. What can he do? Threatening to take. He takes, I take, he takes. That actually doesn't do much. Here's an idea. King to f6. Oh no, I can't do that. So he's going there, trading off the dark squared bishop. leaving him with a light squared bishop, yeah. Okay, let's do that. Now I've got some pressure on this pawn. Let's see, can I take it immediately? Bishop takes, pawn to f. Yeah, I can just take that. Oh, he doesn't have to take back, I guess. He can check me here. Yeah. And grab one of my pawns. Then I'll take the bishop with check and grab one of his pawns. He can grab my other pawn. It looks like this will be 2 pawns versus 2 pawns. So what's this? Unfortunately, yeah, I can take here and he takes there. Then he can go after my pawns, which are kind of weak over here, actually. If I bring my rook back to challenge his rook, he will, he can just trade. If I push forward, I think I have to take that pawn. That outside pawn is just too dangerous. And maybe, maybe I can liquidate like this. Get into a drawn endgame. So let's just move quickly, 30 seconds to 17 seconds. Long game, but I think it's been very even the whole way. And not much I can do about it. Let's put the pawn on the 3rd rank. I mean, the rook on the 3rd rank. Going to bring the rook over here and force a trade. And I think this is a winning end game for me. I mean, drawing. A drawing end game. Not if he does that. Yeah, it's still a drawing endgame, isn't it? I'm in front of this king. And, or the pawn. Oh, he's in front of the pawn on the 6th rank. Actually, this is a win for white, isn't it? Let's see if he knows how to win this. But I think this is, yeah, this is a win. Unless there's some special case with the knight pawn here. I am kind of in a corner here. Maybe I'll be able to. It's a stalemate if he pushes the pawn. So that gives me a chance to get in front of the pawn again and go over to the side. He just has to bring his king to this side. Maybe that works too. Yep, he won. Isn't he going to queen? Yeah, there he goes. Okay, good game. I will upload this and do a postmortem. See you guys later. Bye.